Well, it makes me think again about consent because, bringing it back to your story and how there was this loophole for
Mhm.
them to get your consent.
Yes.
Because my thought is like, did humans ever give consent, to have this done to us, this timeline?
Well, again, if you think about it, if if there is a world government, chances are there is, okay, and the reptilians showed up in form, in person, you can imagine a 9 foot tall reptilian. Trust
Mm-hmm.
you me, I've stood next to them. It's not fun. It's not a good
Mm-hmm.
idea. Okay. And they walk right into the building and they say, listen, you remember your sister, Atlantis?
Mm-hmm.
Well, what they did was they said, they took the Queen of Atlantis on board the ship. Okay. And they said, listen, if you don't give us all of your people and allow us to turn them into a farm, make them afraid on purpose, and then you ever seen Monsters Inc? Same concept, really. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't allow us to farm your people, we're going to drop a stone on your planet and turn you into the Stone Age once again.
So they
And
were threatening.
they said, no, I don't think so. We love humans too much to do that. And so they threw her off the ship, dropped the rock onto the planet, sent us back to the Stone Age, causing the Mayan civilization, the Egyptian civilization. And so then they came to our government, present current, and they said, look, remember what we did to Atlantis? Don't test us. If you don't open a portal and take this entire world into a lower vibrational timeline, we're just going to
Mm-hmm.
dunk it like your Oreo cookie in milk. And we said, sir, yes, sir.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah,
after,
so they were using force and coercion.
yep. And so
Yeah.
after some point in time, we had somehow got a message out to somebody. And they came in, and the United Federation of Planets decided that, listen, this isn't humane or
To
appropriate.
help, right? To finally step in and help.
And so they showed up and said, look, you guys can remove yourself or you can remove yourself. Those are your choices. You can go down the stairs or you can go out the window, basically. You know what I mean? And so
Mm-hmm.
they did remove themselves. There's still a little bit of a struggle, but it's fleeting. And it's not going to last. The war is
Yeah. The war is over. The war has been
150 million
won.
years, which seems like a long time. But again, if they have control over time travel, they could have initiated it yesterday.
Mm-hmm. For me, it's like it's crazy because we have been slaves, we don't even know there's a war. Like most people don't even know there's a war. Most of
That's right.
us don't know what's been going on.
I'll tell you how you can tell, though. It's very simple. Here's how you know. Every day, everybody woke up with shell shock for their entire lives, knowing that something was wrong. And then all of a sudden, one day they woke up and the peace was unsettling. And they wondered, is the other foot going to drop? Am I really allowed to expand and grow? Am I really allowed to reach and stretch and become more? I don't know. I better do it slowly. Better gently reach and grow. I don't know. And that's where people are right now. They're like, I don't feel the war around anymore. I can
Uh-huh.
grow without being chopped down. But I remember last time I did that, and the time before that, and the time before that, we got chopped down. I don't know. Be careful. Maybe grow sideways. I don't know. Humans are we're kind of cautious about growing right now because we've been so stomped on every time we did. And the war's over. We're free to grow.
Mm-hmm.
This is the first time we've ever been this tall, if you can think of it like that.
Yeah. I mean, I definitely go through that, I feel like, on a daily basis. And so I work with ETs. I haven't met them physically yet. My friend and I are working on a whole contact process.
Excellent.
And she had first contact, but we talk to them telepathically almost every day. We're working on some projects. But, they'll give me advice on things to do or things to work on. And I'll be really excited to do it. And then I'll be kind of like, oh, I'm a little cautious, like that feels too expansive. It's unfamiliar. And so
So
it's like going back and forth. And then they'll keep saying, come on, Lauren, you can do it. We know what you're capable of. We
that's right.
see who you are and what you're capable of. I'm like, well, I'm going to stick my toes in, go kind of slow. So I totally relate to that, what you're saying. Now
That's
that we're able to grow and be expansive. And I feel like Desmond, I'm just really picking up, and I don't know if it's from your hybridization, super soldier program, or both, but that you have the like more DNA active, more abilities active than the average human does.
yes.
So to me, you're hybrid. So you're able to help humans. Cause it's kind of like you're a ET here among
Yes.
us. That's what I'm feeling. You're
Slightly.
able to teach us and help us and guide us, while all still being human and looking like one of us
Right.
too.
Right. I don't consider in any way myself better than. I'm only different. I'm only different. But I can
Mhm.
pay attention on a level that is very deep. It is very beyond what I've noticed other people being able to do. And I
Yeah.
can't love on a level that is extremely deep. That seems to be deeper than most. And
Mm.
feel emotion on extremely deep levels. But as far as physical things as a child, I was caught um, with telepathy, moving objects without touching them. I'm absolutely empathic, telepathic, um, absolutely see auras, like I said before, and and I dream about the future about twice a week.
And do they come true?
It's about the future. When I dream about the future, it's what's happening in the future. I experience the future twice.
What's actually happening?
What's
Yeah.
actually happening. It
Mm-hmm.
gives me a huge sense of security.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I feel like it goes beyond that. I don't know what else. I feel like you're still gonna keep uncovering and like tapping in as more of your DNA comes online too. Like everyone's our DNA. I guess
Yes.
what can you tell me more? Because I've heard about like more of our DNA strands are coming online as humans. Do you know anything about that?
As humans, what's going to happen is we're going to open our energetic, our etheric DNA strands first. Okay.
Okay.
This is really important to understand because the energetic and etheric moves at a slower uh, it seems like it's a slower rate. Okay, it seems like it's a slower rate. For example, if you cut your finger, it could heal in a week, but if you cut your etheric finger, it could take a year, right?
Really?
Yes, it seems slower, right? It seems,
Really? I didn't know
yes,
that.
this is
Okay.
what's actually important to understand.
Okay.
Etheric and energy healing can be, if it's not attended to, if it's not, again, it would be like getting a gash, you know, if
Mm-hmm.
it's not attended to or healed, it could get very bad over a long period of time. If you were, say,
Mm-hmm.
in the, I don't know, let's say you were in the Grand Canyon and no access to medical, and that's where you lived, and that was your entire lifespan, and you know, uh, accidentally got gashed by a rock on your leg or something to this effect, no stitches, no a way to do anything about it, it would take a long time to heal. And so,
Mm-hmm.
again, when people get um, bodily injuries, they realize that it can heal in a certain amount of time, but they don't take into consideration sometimes that their etheric injury may take a lot longer if it's not attended to.
I didn't realize it would take longer. I know about the importance and significance, of what you're calling the etheric body, because I am an energy healer. So I go in and I do healings in that realm. But I guess I never realized or thought about it taking longer.
It, how long is it going to take for the person to deal with it?
I guess, yeah. Is that more how long it takes for you to deal with it? Because I feel
To
like,
It's a
yeah.
frequency thing. So as you're learning to grow and change, if it has scarred you etherically, it could take you a while to grow and change out of that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I guess it comes back to what we were saying of like how I can be scared to expand and scared to grow. And at the same time, there's certain parts of myself that I feel very ready. I just feel called work on this part of myself or do this part of my shadow work. But then, yes, there are definitely things, from childhood or a year ago that are still lingering there to work on.
It's a blessing to have a healer that understands the etheric body, because people will go to the doctor to get stitched up and they
Mm-hmm.
don't realize they're still bleeding for weeks because
Yeah.
they didn't even put a band-aid on the etheric wound. And then you should
Mm-hmm.
say, oh my gosh, look at this. Oh my, what can we do? And put some kind of, okay, at least for temporary, for right now, let's just do this. And then tomorrow we'll come back and put a plug on it. And that's effective. That's helpful, because what you're doing is you're changing their base core frequency, which is why I see auras. I'm
Yeah.
seeing their frequency that they register, they emit. And so again,
Mm-hmm.
if it's torn right here, then you go back in and put a band-aid on it. You can imagine how
Mm-hmm.
that's going to help heal, because it's going to help change their vibration.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
It's
I love doing my healings. Sometimes I do them in person, but I do a lot of distance healings. And
yes,
I'll go into different parts of time. And I
yes,
guess I usually use the word astral body. I don't know if it's similar, if it's the same or different as what you're calling. I think it's the same.
it is.
Etheric body. Yeah. And
Yeah,
just do all different sorts of healings. And I'm always just channeling it. I never know what I'm going to do when I go in for a healing. Um, it's endless, it's infinite, but I understand the importance of working with this aspect of ourselves and
you're
healing it.
guided.
Say that again.
You're being guided. That's why you don't need to remember. You don't need to understand. You're being,
Yeah. I'm just channeling the healing.
yeah. As you
Yeah.
said, you worked with aliens, and
Mm-hmm.
they can see multidimensionally, and they can see across timelines. It's exactly why they can see the other yous that have already done it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So they're utilizing you as a tool.
Mm-hmm.
There are times when, if I put it to you like this is really important concept as far as the topic that we're on. So if if I was to ask you, how neat would it be able to be to remember your 16th birthday and how cool that was? How neat would it be able to remember your 21st birthday? You know, how cool would it? Yeah, a lot of people don't, right? Like clearly,
Yeah.
or how neat would it be able to remember? I don't know, your 6th birthday, this kind of stuff, right? Why not? They're your memories.
Mm-hmm.
Why shouldn't I be allowed to remember all my memories?
Do you mean other lifetimes too, or do you just mean in this one life?
It's this particular life.
Mm-hmm.
But the point there I'm making is that these beings understand how to augment memory so that they can utilize it in a negative way to protect themselves,
Okay, like how so?
because they're compartmentalizing the program. The reptilians would utilize the Pavlov device to augment people's memory. But there are
Mm-hmm.
also times when people will be working with others, multidimensionals, and the situation they're experiencing is so not traumatic, but dramatic, even
Mm-hmm.
in a positive tone, that they'll block it out.
The person will do it to themselves, or
It'll be
hmm,
too wonderful to remember.
just because they don't have enough like expansion
They don't have
to
enough
hold?
shelf space. They don't have anywhere to put it on their shelf of I
Really?
understand this.
Really? So then how do they experience that in their reality? Is it just like it never happened, or it's a false memory, or
This is what you are experiencing. You don't necessarily know what you're doing or where you're going or why you're doing it, but you go somewhere and heal. You're being directed. And in this
mm-hmm.
way, what you're doing is so wonderful and pleasant that it's hard to remember.
Mm-hmm.
People will, if things are dramatic, they will block things out that are too traumatic, or they'll block things out that are too dramatic.
Mm-hmm.
If it's going to disrupt your current stability in your system, then
Mm-hmm.
it's better to just not remember it now. And when you get to a better place in life where you're more stable and it's more safe for you to be able to remember it and it won't harm anything, it'll surface. It'll come forth. I once time got a piece of glass stuck in my foot.
Ow.
20 years later, it came out. And it had moved about 4 inches in my foot in that time.
Oof.
And so the body will encapsulate it and protect it. And when it's time, it'll come out.
Mm-hmm.
And so you have all these wonderful memories of things that you've done with healing that you don't yet remember.
That's crazy.
It's a good thing, though. So, like me, there's memories that if they're too dramatic or too traumatic, you just block them out. And that they depend on that. In my
Mm-hmm.
case, this group was depending on the idea that if we scare the daylights out of them, it's much harder
Yeah,
to
that you
push.
won't remember.
But in your case, what's happening is you're experiencing something so positive, the healing effects and the wonderful feeling and the pleasure of
Mm-hmm.
doing is so positive that it could take time, but you'll remember it.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I feel like that's because I know. So I'll do, I consciously do healings. And then there's also my astral self throughout the
Right.
day that's doing stuff.
That's what I'm
And then
talking
I
about.
know while I'm sleeping, there's a lot of stuff happening.
Yeah.
Um, and I'm like just starting to get a little bit of recall, like just the
Yes.
tiniest bit, even just like a feeling or an impression of what I've been doing in the astral. And I've been getting guidance that it will continue to integrate, like how the ETs are conscious of their astral body or etheric body, right? Like they're conscious, awake. Some of them are always awake, not even sleeping, and knowing what's going on in their etheric bodies.
Yeah. No, that's great. No, that's awesome. When
Yeah.
the memory begins to surface, go into a subconscious trance, go into what would be gamma, and then stay in a state of non-judgment, and it will
Mm,
surface clearly. It'll come out. This is how
mm,
I remember the stuff I'm able to remember. Again, I can remember I can remember listening to the Moody Blues, Nights in White Satin. I remember after that, I remember opening my eyes and I was in pink fluffy clouds. It was the definition of heaven. After that, I remember a couple arguments. And after that, I remember being born. Shortly after that, I remember my first bath and being extremely pissed off.
you can remember all of that.
Absolutely.
Mm,
Absolutely. And so this is where people are going. This is
mm-hmm.
where people are going. I can remember Mrs. Abercrombie. Mrs. West was my first grade school teacher. Mrs. Abercrombie was my fourth grade school teacher. So I can remember things like Fratelli's restaurant. I get my siblings in trouble every time we get together because I can remember stuff they did as kids and I just surprise them with details that nobody could ever recall.
Mm-hmm.
In order to do that, okay, so again, that might be a hybridization thing, but again, that would probably help me a great deal on infiltrating the situation and sabotaging it. But at the
Right.
same time, what I can do is gift people by helping them to remember what's already theirs. And that's the
Mm-hmm.
pleasant part of their life that they've blocked out because it was too pleasant. There's more of that than people realize.
I've never thought of that before. I know, like, I've heard how, I know, and I've seen that we block out the unpleasant. Like, I've met lots of people with trauma that they just can't even remember that time of their lives. But I never thought about something being so amazing or so pleasurable that it's also blocked out.
I
Hadn't
guarantee if you
occurred to
walked
me.
out your front door, you stepped out your front door, and Archangel Michael was standing there.
You'd block it out. It'd be too.
It's really too pleasant. You might even get the message, but you wouldn't remember getting it until some later time when it was less intrusive.
Mm-hmm.
There are plenty of pleasant things in people's lives that they have blocked out and have been utilized towards the other side because, again, if they can't remember it, it doesn't exist.
Mm-hmm.
And
That's crazy.
in understanding that and in being able to practice remembering that, these other memories will also surface. And some
So do
people will.
you think the majority of people, since we've all been here on Earth, stuck on this timeline, that we all have memories like this that we're not aware of?
I think that in the coming future, since the war is over and there's less trauma and drama, that the awareness of what people can call their own memory will expand. They will all of a sudden sit down and remember that, you know what? On my 6th birthday, we went to Chuck E. Cheese and I got a lunar rover. That was really cool. I remember the animatronics. I remember my girlfriend. Her name was Ashley. She had blonde curly hair.
Mm-hmm.
And why not? It's your memory. You should be able to.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, I know like the ETs that I work with know their other lifetimes. Like they have the consciousness and the awareness of this life, this life, this life.
That
They remember their other lifetimes, whereas
that's
we don't here.
that's part of it. Because if you can remember other lifetimes, then you can take the lessons that you gain from that too.
Right. And you
Yeah,
also know that you're infinite and that you never die, and that's empowering.
that's another part of it.
Mm-hmm.
If you are afraid of death, you're taught your whole life that once you've done, it's done. Then you're
Yeah.
more easily controllable.
Yeah. You're easily controllable, and they could feed off of that fear.
They can feed off that fear. We are, as a species, not just becoming born, right? But as we gain back our DNA, we will become a totally different species. And when that happens, what we call humanity will no longer exist.
Mm.
The humans that we know of right now are a combination, okay? They took the current hominid that was roaming the planet and added DNA to it to create a slave, a super
Mm-hmm.
slave, like a super soldier, only a super slave. Okay?
Mm-hmm. Super
Yeah.
slave planet.
Right, super slave planet. And that's why the reptilians said, hey, if you can do it, we can do it. What's good for the goose, the gander can have a great time with. Okay, if you're going to make them into slaves, we're going to make them into slaves. That's how it
Mm-hmm.
works. Okay, but as that genetic process continued and we were utilized because we have small hands and smart brains or smart enough that we can make it
Yeah.
happen, eventually what will happen is we will be gifted back because the Pleiadians say that you can't create something without endowing it with all of your powers, period. That's just not how it
Mm-hmm.
works. And so when that catches up and the slingshots them in the butt, we will be endowed with all the powers that the creator has. If the creator is Anunnaki, then we will have all the powers of Anunnaki, 12-strand DNA. And
Mm-hmm.
humans that we call humans now, this half beast and half reptile, which is exactly what they are, by the way,
Mm-hmm.
42 chromosomes. And the only way you could splice half of a King Kong and half of a Godzilla together, by the way,
Oh
ironically,
shit.
is if you took one of them and used chemicals and acid and you burnt it in half and then you spliced them together. That's the only way it would work. And the only people that know how to do that are reptiles.
Because they're masters at
Because
genetics.
masters at genetics. And so when humans come back into humanness and we're no longer people, the thing called human will no longer exist.
Say that again. At what point?
When we come back into our wholeness, when we
Mm-hmm.
get our 12 strands back, when we're no longer half a beast and half a reptile, what we
Mm-hmm.
consider to be a human will no longer exist. So
Mm.
we have evolved into a whole different creature, a whole new species.
What do you think that will look like? Or have you seen it?
Well, they look a lot like humans. Obviously, 2 arms and 2 legs, right?
Mm-hmm.
The heart is expanded. They require more oxygen. They're slightly taller, skinnier. But they're multidimensional and they're shapeshifters. So again, just think about what we will evolve into if we are consciously aware of the multidimensional aspect of ourselves. To give this reference, okay, you've seen the movie Men in Black Part 3, and they meet this guy who is a multidimensional character. He can see multidimensional times at the same time. And he says, well, if it's this timeline, then this is what's going to happen. And if it's that timeline, then that's what's going to happen. And imagine if you could do that. And more importantly, imagine if you could pick which one you wanted to observe and observe it into existence. Because that's what we are as humans. That's what we are becoming. That's what we already are. That's what we were designed as.
Hmm.
We observe things into existence.
And is that specific to humans or somehow different than creation works like with other species or races?
Well, what makes the human different than the other species is that they're capable of receiving a huge spectrum of vibration. They can go down into the lower vibrational frequencies because they can retrieve
Right.
information from that codex. The
Mm-hmm.
reptilians store information here. And even worse than the reptilians have stored information here. And people go, worse? Yeah,
Yeah, really.
yeah. So, and we are the library card.
Mm-hmm.
Our job is to be able to match that frequency and take that code and retrieve that information. No one else can do that. No one else does. No one else has that range of frequency like we do.
Right. Yeah, I've been seeing that. Because, working with these ETs, who the ones that I work with are all at a higher frequency than we are. Um, one time I'm still trying to understand the different frequencies and dimensions and all of it. It slowly is making sense, but I was shown one of my guides, ET guides, showed me basically this image of like, okay, so imagine there's like a X, Y, and Z axis, right? So three planes. And she was showing me as if this was the universe and imagine Earth is in the middle. So we've been so dense that we've been all alone by ourselves because we've been at such a low frequency. And then she was showing me, right, like XYZ, different vibrations. So there's like different races over here. So it might be this planet, this planet, this planet, even in a higher, like different higher frequencies. But she was showing me because Earth and humans were expanding now so far that it's like we literally are going to have this like free range to go anywhere and actually have this greater expansion in range than any of the existing planets or races do. Even though they're at higher frequencies, they can't reach as far as humans are coming into. Does that make sense?
Absolutely, absolutely does. No, so in our being forced down into our lower state of vibration frequency in a timeline, okay, where that timeline was cut off from source, couldn't, now cut off is a too strong of a word, as I say. We were directed away from source. We were bubbled, right, in a place. In that lower frequency, it becomes a trap. It becomes, they say a prison, but it's more of a trap. And what happens is people will incarnate into it and not be able to exit. Okay.
Yeah, they just
So
keep.
when you say, hey, let's get some star seeds in here, that's super dangerous because they're coming in with an extreme amount of positivity and they're going to get stuck there and they're going to be forced to feel negativity for a very long period of time. It won't help anything. Doesn't change anything. The only thing that would change anything is if you could infiltrate the system itself, plant a bug, and cause a virus. Cause the one thing the reptilians hated more than anything was confusion. The
Hmm.
confusion would absolutely piss them off. When I removed my implant and I was standing next to a reptilian in a volcano base. We were in a volcano base. And she looked at me and she said, "You will do what I ask you to do." And I says, "I cannot." And she says, "You will do what I ask you to do or I will throw you off this abyss." And I says, "I'll throw myself off the abyss because I cannot do what you're asking me to do." And she
Yeah.
said, "Explain." And I said, "I no longer have the implant." And boy, was she confused. And trust you me, I've never seen one more pissed off than that. They hate confusion more than anything.
Really?
Okay. She looked like a 9-foot Tyrannosaurus Rex wearing a fishing vest that was silver that had technology all over it, with slightly longer arms and a skinnier head. There was no words coming out of her mouth. She was telepathic. What she
Mm.
was doing was directing me to create more adrenochrome. I could not. It was too horrific.
Hmm. So what did she do after that?
She brought up her screen and labeled me as too inferior to be afraid. I hoped that was what kicked me out of their system, but it did not. It did not kick me out of their system. I wished it would. It would have been nice. It did not kick me
Yeah.
out of their system. It was um, a perfect example of how bad things have gotten. And if you think about it in a way, what if the tall grays were telepathically connected to me as if one of them was my father?
From the hybridization,
Of
the hybrid
hybridization
program.
program, and they were able to see all this stuff from a distance and what was going on and how humans were being treated. How would they see that? How would they judge that? How would they experience that? And how would they then approach the situation more
Well, I guess
intelligently?
I don't know enough about the grays and if these grays like the some of the grays I've heard about, there's like different races of grays. So I don't know if these were the ones that completely had shut off their heart center. Were they those ones or were they
No,
more so they
the
had a heart?
targets in this case are ones that were in a war with the reptilians in Lyra, and the reptilians came in and destroyed their system and essentially turned half of them into food slaves, you know?
Mhm.
So these ones understood the damage that was done, how much they wreak havoc on these systems. And
They're
so essentially,
right trying to
it,
implant the virus to take it
yes,
down.
they're trying to stop it from getting any worse.
Mhm. Yeah, I mean, if it was their own son, I feel like there would be some sort of retaliation. But I don't. Would they even be able to do anything though? Or maybe like through you do something?
All they could do is observe because they would get information based on what's going on. However, if they could take that information and bring it to somebody who can do something about it, then they can show up and say, "Look, we know what's going on. We're watching telepathically through these particular people,"
Uh-huh.
And so we want it to stop, and we want it to stop right away, and we want you guys to clear out and take into consideration that some of the grays are from other star systems. Some of the grays are from other timelines, and they're just humans that have destroyed
Mm-hmm.
the world. And they're looking for pure genetics because they reproduce through petri dishes, so they no longer have
Yes.
pure genetics. And some of them are um, essentially probes or soldiers being used by the reptilians to again infiltrate or to um, watch, survey these areas because they're extremely useful for this. And so as humans move into this new paradigm, because we've shed that creepy frequency, right? What we're
Mm-hmm.
starting to realize is that there are different, as you put it, different types of grays. And so what we're starting to understand is that yes, there are ones that are um, aware of the reptiles and how they had already caused havoc in the system and are there to help us. Do they have the power to do that, or do they just connect with the Federation of Planets, and the Federation of Planets says, listen, we've told you once, now we're going to tell you to stop it. And again, what we need to really listen to and take into heart, into consideration, in order to get back to the concept of forgiveness, right? We're wanting to forgive the reptiles. We're doing what? Creating food?
Basic survival.
Yeah, do the cows need to forgive us? The chickens and the
Wow, for eating them.
right? So, and on top of
Um,
that, do the reptiles provide a service for the universe? Do they have a purpose? They're kind of like the flies or leeches of the universe. And they aimlessly looking for some kind of ghastly fear that is
oh, wow.
destroying everything, and they go and suck it all up. They do a good thing. They help us. They're a great service.
Wow. That's a fascinating perspective. It's like how every single creature has a purpose and a function in the ecosystem.
That's why God loves them the same that they love us.
Wow. Because if you look at what's happening now, however, 150 million years later, whatever of our evolution, at the point we're at now and how humans are evolving and like the species we're evolving into. So we could say thank you to the reptilians for playing a role in that, for what
Yeah.
we are now and what we're continuing to become and unfold into.
And most likely, what we will do as a human species, once we have enough wits about ourselves, is we will go back and cradle ourselves, and then we will nurture ourselves from the beginning. So
Mm.
that we can eliminate this chance in the original timeline, in God's timeline. In the original timeline, all of these things happened first and caused the chaos, the disruption, the controversy, the contest. But as a result of it, in the original timeline, none of it happened.
Hmm.
As a result of it, in the original timeline, we go back and protect ourselves and nurture ourselves from the time when we first split as amoebas.
Mm.
We will go back once we have the wits of ourselves, and we will create a new timeline, the original timeline, once again.
Holy shit. Well, it's like even how I have been doing inner child work for a while. And since I can connect with connect with myself in the astral, or what you call the etheric body realm, I go back in time in this realm and connect with myself in different points of time and am healing her. So it
Yes.
sounds very similar to what, wanting to go back in time to, even though it has happened, I guess just heal that wound. And it's like becoming more whole in myself in this present moment.
Yes. What we are starting to understand about time is how flexible it is and how much the concept of if I was to go back in time and change this, how it might change the present is actually a fallacious thought. It doesn't necessarily work that way. It
Hmm.
absolutely never works that way, in fact. It doesn't work that way at all because time would right itself if you try to do that, and things would end up the way that they ended up because you went back and changed things. It would
Yeah.
turn itself on its head. So what the scientists of our day have discovered is a better approach is, like I said, equip children and send them into the future like headlights to see what's
Wow.
coming. And that's a better approach because if we can change it before it happens,
Change it before it happens.
change it before it happens or change it into what's happening. Okay.
Hmm.
And so thinking about it like that, we understand now that yes, we will go back and save Atlantis. Yes, we will go back and preserve humanity through its entire experience. But without that original timeline of us having that controversy, we would never go back and do that. You see how it starts to get into the
That's
grandfather,
crazy.
yeah, the paradox, right? It starts to, and yes, we will benefit from this, but only if we did this one first. And so
It so blows my mind.
for it to
Yeah.
work out perfect, it has to have that one time that it didn't. That's this time. And
Wow.
then it gets even more crazy because the time is flexible in a way that the past actually restructures itself to support your current present. The
I
same
know that.
does. So
It's like I don't understand it, but I do understand it.
what we're looking at and we're calling the past is nowhere near accurate.
Okay. What's a more accurate?
The best way that we could say it would be that this is our current past.
Our current past.
Right. Because
That totally resonates with me. Yeah.
this hour, that won't be our past. In an hour, we could have a completely, literally completely different past.
It blows my mind because I know that like we're existing in the now, and I
Uh,
know that all the future stems from the now, and that also the past is stemming from the now. But it blows my mind because it's maybe this comes back to what you're talking about with memories, because I remember the past or the past, current past. I do have memories of that, but I don't have memories of the future.
right.
Maybe that's what you were describing.
Well,
Memories coming in.
it's an important topic, honestly, because there's been enough science and research done on it that they're able to nab someone out of their bed in the middle of the night and put them back, right? So if
Mm-hmm.
time travel, if you can call it that, like we're talking about, is a way of manipulating the situation, our current present, and obviously it is because we're utilizing it as I'd like to say a nation, but probably a world,
Mm-hmm.
right? So it is of it itself its own paradox because I am one who has experienced the portals themselves, and at the same time, I'm one who understands that the past is a construct of the present.
Mm-hmm.
So you see the paradox. And
Yeah.
for me to sit here and tell a story about how I've been abducted in the past and how this is the mind control operations that they went through, and these were their motives and their gains, and this is their purpose and benefit and value, and is a construct of the present,
Damn.
even though it
So,
really happened.
wait, say that again.
Even though it really happened.
Even though it really happened,
Yes.
it's, it blows my mind.
Well, that's good though, because the more down this rabbit hole we go and the more of the metaphysics that we understand, the more chances that we will be able to be on that timeline with your friends, your assistants. That's their goal.
Mhm.
Their goal is to push us into a higher frequency so that we will pop into that timeline.
Yeah, that's what they keep doing.
Yes.
And like I said, I'm pretty good about my homework. I'm a little scared. They always have to keep coming in. Like there was a new ET I met in November.
Okay.
And he's on the big Galactic Federation. I think you used a different word, but I use Galactic Federation, the big ship stationed outside of Earth. And so he came in. I was channeling with my friend. Like, well, we just call each other and we channel for each other, channel different ETs all the time. And I was like, I just feel like channeling today. And so this new ET man came through. You know, I'm like, who is this? I hadn't had a new person come in a while. And his name is Micel, or, that's kind of how we're translating it, right? The frequency, Micel.
Uh-huh.
Um, and he said that he's been assigned, or we've been assigned to each other. and that he welcomes new people aboard the Galactic Federation ship, like newcomers coming on to the ship. And I didn't realize at the time he was talking about teleporting specifically. And I just thought, okay, he welcomes people. And he said that most of the humans, so he greets humans coming on the ship. And most of them have probably been in programs like you. Like he said they're all humans who have worked with ETs on the ground. They're utilizing some sort of technology. So they have a lot of experience with ETs already. But he greets them and welcomes them onto the ship. Kind of does like onboarding. And so now I'm working with him. And I didn't realize that he works specifically with people teleporting. So I guess I'm just saying this now. Because I haven't come out publicly talking about this yet. Because my colleague, person who we channel, we work together all the time. She had her first contact. A woman came through a portal opened up, came through, had their first contact. This was in October 2024. And the technique that we've been using, we call the portal sphere switch. So portal sphere, so people are able to portal in, and the sphere part, and maybe you can explain this or understand it in a better way, but the sphere is basically like you're changing your own frequency, you're changing your own dimension. And I kind of see it as like the sphere around you. You're holding that frequency or dimension. And then the portal, so the other beings are able to open up the portal and actually come in to visit you where you are. So we call it portal sphere switch, the switch, because we can turn it off, on and off. And so we started training in this technique. It was October 2024, after already having worked with these beings for a while on contact. And then my friend turned on her portal sphere switch. She was able to, just being together, activate the portal sphere switch in me. So we're finding it, like if one person has it turned on, it turns it on in other people. We could do it from a distance.
Absolutely.
The woman came through the portal. We're realizing now that the eyes have a huge function in this. The eyes have to be open to do this specific technique. And one of the ETs had said in the beginning, this is also a precursor to teleporting yourself, this technique.
I say that. I was so excited.
So he said this is the precursor. So, this is October 24, and we've been training for a while. And I had never thought I'd be teleporting. I can't believe I'm saying this on this episode, but I told you before we started filming that spirit will just guide these interviews. And so I just have to say this right now. And so, we'd been training, we practice, it's like a very focused meditative technique. Eyes are open. We usually we have to go out in nature and do this. And you're changing your frequency. The sphere comes around you and you can open up a portal. And then I started doing it. I moved down to Austin, Texas, in May of this last year, 2025. And we've been creating a meeting ground for contact. And we'd been instructed by the same ET. His name's Ganthra. So Ganthra helped us learn our portal sphere switch. And then he designed a meeting ground for us. So the specific dimensions, like where it goes on my friend's ranch, clearing trees. We have 4 benches. So it's in, it's like sacred geometry 4. There's a lot we've been doing. We've been preparing the land and doing gridding. Like there's so much that we've been doing to the whole land to prepare for contact. But then the meeting ground, a pink sphere, which holds us in our vibration. So anyway, we'd created the meeting ground. And then so when I moved here in May, we go to practice our technique. And then I start teleporting. I'm like, holy shit, Ganthra had said this was a precursor to
Yep.
teleporting. But of course, in my own mind, I go, oh, whatever, not for me. Until, um, until it started to happen, and for several months, the ETs I'm working with did not give me permission to do it by myself because they said it could be dangerous. And my friend had to be there. So it was only when she was coming to visit Austin.
That's good.
So all summer long, you can't. I was so pissed, like, I want to go to the meeting ground. I want to teleport. I was furious. They weren't letting me. I wanted to rebel. Maybe I'm like you in that, but I knew I needed to be safe. I was like, fuck you. Who are you to tell me I can't teleport? I'm coming to the ship. But I was very good. I had to make promises to people who care about me that I wouldn't do anything dangerous. But so I could only practice every now and then. I haven't gotten anywhere, but in November, my higher self gave me permission to now teleport by myself. So I can go there anytime and advance my practice. And so I get to the point, so my eyes are open, and I get to the point where everything starts to get blurry. So everything I'm seeing around me starts to blur out. Like it kind of looks like a TV screen. Everything is like going staticky. Sometimes it's like even just starts to become like white. I get to that point and they're telling me that this is where you're crossing the threshold into the other place or the other dimension, and that what you're seeing has to disappear first before the new reality phases in. And they're saying that eventually it'll be instantaneous, but while I'm practicing, I'm seeing the transition. But so what I'm needing right now, I'm needing more protection. So Micelle is having me create, it's like a it's with my energy body or etheric body, but it's like a glass cube. Again, it's energetic, but so it's in the shape of a cube. The feeling of it is like glass. It's very breakable. So he's having me build this, and since I'm an energy healer, I go and work on it, and I can kind of see which corner of the cube, and I'm building it out slowly. If I push too hard, the whole thing shatters and I start again. But so he said this is needed for my protection, and it's really protecting my consciousness because all of this is happening through my consciousness. And when I don't have it, I get to the point of crossing the threshold and all these negative thoughts come in. And I know it's all programming, but it's, things will come in like, this is stupid, this is retarded, this isn't going to work. I'm a failure. So these thoughts come in and then it just takes me out of it. I can't go further. So and I've discovered that. And he's like, yes, this is why we're having you create this glass cube that basically, as I'm crossing the threshold into the other location, the other dimension, the cube as a part of my energy structure body will just form, right? Like with consciousness, form around me to hold my vibration, hold my focus, hold my consciousness, to get me to actually phase into the ship and meet Micelle there. So that's his job, is to meet me, to have first contact, to make sure I'm safe. So we've been practicing this, but my cube isn't done yet. It's not ready. It's one of the things I have resistance. I'm like, are you working on your cube? So, but I am making progress. I have a log for my cube when I work on it. I go to teleport. I go to the ranch and I go to just below the threshold. So when I'm about to, pop in and need that cube. So I'm just practicing because that's where I feel safe right now.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to need that cube to be done to go further.
I know a lot about that cube actually.
Holy
And
shit.
yeah, I know a lot about that cube. That cube is very important because it contains four separate energies, but it also contains three concepts. And you get those three concepts and four energies down, and yes, transportation will be your next mode of
Holy
conscious.
shit, you know about this cube.
Yeah. Okay. So, um, two stories. First, it's you're talking about quantum entanglement and frequency, okay? And these are the two things that humans are expanding into right now that's giving them the freedom of access that they didn't have before. Okay. The
Mhm.
quantum entanglement is what you were talking about when you were talking about you and her being able to open up each other's portals.
Mhm.
Because even at a distance, the energy is linked, it's the same. And so what happens to
Yes.
this happens to this one. If this one's on, this one's off. If this one's off, this one's on, so on and so forth. Or if they're both on,
Yes.
they're both off, they're both off. And so this is part of teleportation, that quantum entanglement, because as you are experiencing particles that are at another place or time that match the same frequency as yours, then
Mhm.
what happens to yours also happens to theirs. And then you can be in two places at the same time, quite literally. And then if
Wow.
you take your attention off of the first place that you were at, you will literally physically be at the second place. Now, the,
Holy shit.
the success cube has, again, atop of you, above you, is your limitations. Okay. To the sides of you are your boundaries. And to the front and back of you are your thresholds, is what they were trying to describe. The four energies are access, intimacy, wonder, and deserving. The deserving is the hardest part to understand, but once you get that part, that cube will work. The first time I teleported, I was in my bedroom sitting on my bed, and I teleported to the couch in my underwear. Totally scared the crap out of me, I'll tell you the truth. And ran back into my bedroom, because I felt naked. I was in my underwear, but I
Ew.
literally teleported to the couch from my bedroom at 9 p.m. at night by thought and that type of freaky action at a distance alone. At another point in time,
Mhm.
further on in my ascension process, I was out in the mountains. Um, we were at a stay. We were at a breakfast B&B, something like this, out in the middle of the mountains, and so it was quite beautiful and quite open and airy. And I grabbed a coffee and I says, I'm going to go take a quick hike and take the dog with me. I'll be right back. And so I grabbed the
Mhm.
dog and the coffee and I walked off to sit on a boulder and do a meditation. And during that meditation, I teleported back in time 14,000 years to the North Mountains of Atlantis. And I was in the forests of the North Mountains of Atlantis with the red barked trees and the white
Wow.
flowers. And I was there for 11 seconds before I was ripped back to my original reality because my 0 point, as I was mentioning before, was that of where I was at originally. My 0 point was that.
Mm.
But because I was able to match the frequency of
Mhm.
Atlantis, those North Mountains of Atlantis, because I remember a timeline, a lifetime, when I used to go to those mountains to go camping with my girlfriend. And that's how I was able to match that frequency. And I literally transported to the mountains of Atlantis
By
14,000 years
matching the frequency.
the frequency and was
Mhm.
physically there for 11 seconds before I popped back. So you're on your way. That's exactly what they're trying to teach you how to do. And when you do that, the reason they don't want you, the dangerous part is because if you did transport into a timeline with a negative or downward cascading spiral, you would not recover. You'd be in hell literally
Mm.
for the rest of your existence experience. And so
Mhm.
knowing two things, what your 0 point is, your original timeline, which is very important, and
Okay.
number two is knowing where you're trying to go. What's your destination? Where are you trying to get to? And these other um, helpers of yours, these alien friends, they don't just know your physical you, the human you, they know the other you as well. And so they're attempting to get that part to come join them so you can have more fun with them. They're calling you home in a sense, but in order to do that, they need you to project a specific frequency. And in order for you to remember that frequency, in order for you to project it, you need to remember it. You need to remember being there, doing that, having that time. And so, same with me with Atlantis. I remember being there, doing that, having that time. And they're pushing you in that way. Uh,
Mhm.
And then eventually you will, just because you emit a certain frequency, you will pop into that reality, whether you noticed it or not, whether you realize you transported it or not. Probably would be seamless. You never even notice. It's what the very definition of transcendence is.
What's the definition of transcendence?
The definition of transcendence is where your environment changes so dramatically and you're completely unaware of it. You're completely unaware of even how you got there. For example, um, okay, so I wake up to go to work. I don't know, maybe about a month ago, maybe a month and a half ago. Okay. I wake up to go to work and I realize that I had slept through my alarm and I'm now 3 or 4 hours late. And I say, geez, you know what? I would really would have liked to have gotten up for work today. That would have been a better day for me, I think.
Yeah.
And so I go into a meditative state and recontact my past self and say, hey, you need to
Yeah.
wake up and go to work. And then observe that timeline and become part of that timeline, teleport to that timeline and get up and go to work.
Were you able to do that successfully?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And so
Really? We can do that.
that's the definition of transcendence. There's no evidence that tells you how you got here. The evidence was removed in the process of getting there. And this is another way of proving that the past is a construct of the present.
This is mind-blowing.
So, a quick story. I was 7 weeks old, and I had never taken a doo-doo in my life. And my mom decided to take me to the hospital. It was a good idea. And I was throwing up projectile vomiting because it was going to come out one way or another. And so the doctors cut me open, and they did 1976, you got to imagine, right? It's 1976. They're cutting open this 7-week-old baby, and they're doing exploratory surgery. They're looking for a plug that's blocking my intestinal tract.
Mm-hmm.
And in the process, I can see them as if I'm looking through the lights in the ceiling.
Okay.
And in the process, a man comes in wearing all black, and he washes his hands, and he goes over to the surgery table. And then I go and meet God. And I talk to God, and God says, you will be here for 23 years minimum. And at the end of that 23 years, you can choose to leave. But until then, you will sign a contract that states that you will be here till then. And in the outside time space, 23 years is a blink of an eye. It's a snap of the finger. It's not that long at all.
Yeah.
And so I agreed and I signed the contract and I returned just in time to see this man in black use duct tape on a 7-week-old baby and tape him back together using a technique that nobody had ever seen before. And he took his hat, washed his hands, put his hat back on his head and left, and I never, ever, ever saw him again.
Yeah.
He saved my life because he knew that I was a vital piece of how this all worked. 23, I made some big differences in life because I was implanted at 19.
Mm-hmm.
This all comes around because that, even though I'm wearing this gigantic 7-inch scar on the side of my belly, is a construct. It's a fabrication of my current present.
So it all could be changed.
This scar is more real than the past
Mm-hmm.
that caused it. The past that caused the scar is a construct to only support the present that we currently are experiencing, the current now.
So what do we do with that? Because that's really powerful. It's empowering. It's mind-boggling. How do we use this?
So the key would be then to determine your preferred state of frequency.
Okay, in the now.
In the now.
Mm-hmm.
What is your preferred state of frequency? Fear?
Nope.
Victim? Self-pity?
Nope.
Martyr?
No. I don't want any of that.
Right. But this is what humans have been dragged through. And as a slingshot, usually what happens when people have that happen to them, and this is exactly what's explaining what you said before, they get pulled back really, really far, and then all of a sudden they get let go. And as a slingshot effect, they go, pew, and they
Mm-hmm.
advance and grow far further and faster than everyone else around them. And that's exactly why Earth is now expanding, like you've pointed out. We are able to
Yeah.
expand farther than everyone else around us as a result of the cockapoo we just went through the last 150 million years. We
Yeah.
come out of this moving into a type of ascension that is that much more incredible, that much more. How easy is it going to be for us to decide to be in a good frequency now?
Mm-hmm.
To
So
answer your question, yeah,
is it as easy as we just decide now?
yes, yes. And where people are getting lost is they're trying to blame the reptiles or the government or the money or the.
Mm-hmm. But we
So
can rewrite all of that to change our future in the
now
now and not hold on to that anger, that
that
karma from the past.
power was taken from us so that we could be controlled and manipulated. But we are gaining that power back as a species. We are a multidimensional species. And that is exactly the type of power we are taking back. Think about it. What would your life be like if you dreamt about the future 2 times a week and then you could tell yourself to go back to sleep and wake up in the past? Or teleport 14,000 years ago and experience what the forest of Atlantis was like?
Mm-hmm.
That's who we are becoming.
Mm-hmm.
And the people that we once knew, the running around trying to dig up food and stay away from the rain and hopefully build a shower and a fire, that species will evolve to extinction and no longer exist in less than a couple thousand years. I give it. I give it. I don't think that we'll make it another couple thousand years before humans evolve to the point where we then have at least 7 strand of DNA, if not moving
Mm-hmm.
our way to having 10 or 11. And I
Mm-hmm.
assume that once we reach 12 strand DNA, we will no longer be physical. I assume that when we reach
Oh,
12,
okay. Gotcha.
so
Wow. Yes, mind blowing. And so we're coming up on the 3 hour mark, and there's so many more things I still want to ask you. So I feel like maybe we should start to wrap up for today. And then I'm gonna have to rewatch this like several times. Like let all of this like the codes, like I was gonna say information, but really the codes you're sharing with me and with the viewers today. I
yes,
need
good.
time to like absorb all those codes.
Yes.
Um, because I could go down so many rabbit holes with you on everything that you touched on.
Uh, this is fantastic. I very much appreciate this opportunity, and I hope that a lot of people got benefit and value from this. And I hope that it really pushes towards um, people who are potentially experiencing something that was like what I experienced, coming into a realization that it doesn't have to be negative, that they can come into a realization that um, we are all in this together and that we're all going to help each other out of this situation into a much better one, into one that we can't avoid now. We're too entrenched in a positive future. We're stuck. It's too late to change
Mm-hmm.
directions. We're gonna have a good time whether we like it or not. That's.
Whether we like it or not.
Thank you.
Yeah. Desmond, thank you so much. Seriously, my mind is blown, and I can absolutely feel the truth and the power and the codes coming through and everything that you're sharing. And I just feel everything that you have experienced, even how horrible it was, but like who you are today sitting in front of me. I'll just
That's
say I've never met a human like you and as advanced, and I can feel it just in my field, things I can't even articulate that you are holding, that you're the embodiment of. And so thank you for sharing all of this. I would love and I'm looking forward to having you back on the show if you're willing to come and go down some more rabbit holes. And so I also want to ask you, for our audience, where can they find you if they want to connect or come to sessions you're leading? Where's the best place for them to get more of Desmond's
This is
wisdom?
wonderful. Okay, so on Meetup we have a group. It was Lightworkers now and has recently changed its name at the beginning of the year. It is UFO Consciousness and Lightworkers. It's run by Denise, the Interstellar Teller, and she started the whole thing. The group that is my part of the group is called Desmond's Corner, and it's where we'll go in and talk about the different technologies that were used and how we can begin to free ourselves from any kind of limitations and move ourselves closer to a frequency of harmony and working together. Please come join us on Meetup in our Meetup group with, again, Denise, the Interstellar Teller. The name of the group is slipping me just because it's a brand new name.
Yeah, I'll link it. I'll link
Yeah,
it below.
UFO Consciousness Lightworkers in this area. But anyway, please come check us out. And yeah, I definitely would love to come back and do this again and talk about more in depth on certain topics and subjects and go down certain rabbit holes. And again, thank you
Yeah.
very much.
Thank you so much, Desmond. I'm so happy to hear that. Yeah, so guys, everything that Desmond just shared, I'll link below. So the meetup group. I don't, Desmond, do you have a website or anything, or is the meetup group the best
Yes,
place?
I'm working on it right now, but not yet. It's
Okay.
almost there, but
Okay, awesome. Well, in a future episode, we'll link your website. Sounds good. So, yeah, thank you everyone for watching this episode today. And if you guys are watching on YouTube and you liked it, please give it a like, share this video. We want to share this information. Desmond and I were talking before that we started the camera that truth is what brought us here today to speak truth. And that is the foundation and fabric of my work and why I'm here. So please help us share the truth, get this information out so it's only more empowering for all of us to know the truth. And then I also am getting the podcast onto Spotify and Apple Podcasts. So you can find me there. Yeah, by the time this episode is released. So I'm really excited. And then also another announcement is, so if these types of conversations resonate with you guys and you feel called deeper to go into ET contact work, healing work, ascension work, I am launching a Patreon page where I'm going to be doing, taking you guys into the technique that I described today for teleporting. I'm supposed to start teaching that, and I'm going to be doing weekly channeling videos with the ETs so you guys can ask questions. There's going to be live calls. So if you guys want to go into this deeper with me, I'm still working on that, but I'll link it below. But that is up and coming. That's part of my creation for 2026 that I'm being guided to do, to share this all in a more like deep and intimate way. So, okay. All right. I guess that wraps up everything. Thank you, Desmond.
thank you, Lauren. I very much appreciate it.